more consistency, better feel, and a higher flight. When you play an iron like this, the updated Ping i240 iron, that's exactly what Ping thinks you're gonna get. Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. The Ping i240 is going to be replacing the i230 in the Ping lineup, and this is going to be the most playable, better player iron in the Ping lineup. This is going to be, in Ping's world, slotted just above the Blueprint S and just below the i530 in terms of the combination of playability and forgiveness, height, and ball speed. So let's get into exactly what Ping did to update the i230 and come out with the i240 and find out if this might be just the iron that you have been looking for. Okay, so as I explained before, the i240 is going to be replacing the i230, and the i230 not only was played by a number of players on the PGA Tour as well as the DP World Tour, but week in and week out was one of the most played irons on the LPGA as well. So the designers and engineers had a tall task updating and improving on that iron for low handicap players, elite ball strikers, collegiate players, and golfers at the club level who are going to be contending and potentially winning their club championships. So how did they go about doing that? Well, they started out by trying to keep the sizing of the iron exactly the same, but to boost up the MOI just a little bit and to create a slightly higher ball flight, they played around with the back badge and a lot of the elements on the back of the golf club. You see, by making the back badge a little bit lighter, it created some discretionary weight that Ping was able to distribute a little bit lower in the heads. So it saved about, the company saved about 8 grams of weight from here, which is higher up in the head. So that automatically moved the center of gravity location down. That's going to encourage a higher flight. So in addition to dropping the center of gravity lower by removing weight from the back badge, Ping also tries to really spread out the weight evenly in the heel and the toe area and get it out of the middle. And one of the really sneaky ways that the company's engineers have done this for a while is by including an elastomer insert in the back of the head. Now we've seen this for a while. It's the same elastomer material that Ping had in the original i230 and is now in the i240. And it's right back here in the middle. And if you push down on it with your finger or with your thumb, you're going to be able to feel it give a little bit. It's an extremely soft material. So working in combination with that back badge, this material in here, this elastomer, soaks up excessive vibration and it really enhances feel. And it also is significantly lighter than the steel that would be there otherwise. So you're taking weight out of the middle, providing engineers and designers with more discretionary weight that they can push out to the heel and the toe, and combine that with heel weights and tip weights. You can see this tip screw right here. That's a weight. That's pushing more weight to the perimeter of the head. It's creating more perimeter weighting and more stability without making the blade length any longer. And that's really the trick when you're talking about better player irons. Accomplished golfers, low handicap golfers, want to see a compact blade length. They don't want big irons, but you want to make them play a little bit bigger. You add a little bit more perimeter weighting. So yes, you can see that this is generally a cavity back design, but there's a sneaky large amount of weight that's actually been pushed out to the heel and the toe, and that really does the job of enhancing stability and making this iron feel a little bit more solid. Now in the i230 irons and some of the other Ping irons designed for better players, Ping over the last couple of years has had what's called Micro Max grooves. They're really spin enhancing grooves that do a really good job of saving spin and maintaining spin, especially in wet conditions and out of rough. Well, Ping got some feedback from its tour players. They basically said those grooves do too good a job. See, over the course of a really good player's career, they gain a lot of experience and a lot of understanding about exactly how balls are going to behave in wet conditions and especially in rough conditions. They notice and they can observe that a lie, for example, is going to cause a flyer condition, and they compensate automatically for that. And what Ping's players were telling them was that those Micromax grooves did too good a job of magnifying and maintaining spin, and it sort of got people a little bit wonked out. So Ping intentionally has gone back to its other grooves that honestly spin a little bit less out of wet, rough conditions, but work really, really well from the fairway, because the accomplished players and the players that really the i240 is meant for, they're pretty good at being able to gauge exactly the types of jumpy lies and different lies that they're going to get in the fairways, and they told Ping that's what we want. So Ping basically put the old grooves back. Now, one interesting thing to be aware of is that the i240 irons are going to be available in 3 different loft specs. There's going to be the standard spec as well as a power spec, which strengthens the loft all the way through the bag for players who are looking for a little bit more distance. You're also going to have a retrospect. Retrospect irons are going to be a little bit weaker. So it gives players and fitters a lot more versatility when they're looking to try and fill in distance gap. In fitting situations, it's very frequently a tool that fitters are going to be using, where they might, for example, put in a power spec in the long irons and then go with a retro spec in the mid irons and in the scoring clubs to be able to get the gaps exactly where they're going to be most beneficial for the players. Having those 3 different loft specs is something that's really, really helpful for ping. Okay, so obviously Ping made a set of i240 irons available to me for this video as well as for review. And what I found is, as advertised, the ball definitely jumps up in the air more than I remember with the i230s, and definitely more than I was getting with Blueprint S. I am not somebody with my 10 handicap who has any business getting anywhere close to the Blueprint T irons. I really like the i530s, and that really is right in my wheelhouse. This iron was surprisingly playable for me, though. I think that because of the added height, which means that I get a little bit better angle of descent, I would be able to hold greens fairly easily with the i240s. I did love the feel of these clubs. I thought that they felt absolutely fantastic. I was able to move the ball in a lot of different ways, and really, I got a lot better performance out of this than I was expecting. I was expecting an iron that gets this much tour play to be challenging for me to hit consistently, and that really wasn't the case. I think there's a lot more forgiveness cooked into the i240 than players might think. I think if you see this iron in the bags of players that you see on TV, you might be intimidated. If you're somebody like me who plays off a 10 or an 11 handicap, maybe down to about a 7 or 8, that you might be intimidated to try this. Don't. I would highly encourage you to give it a try, because I think there's enough perimeter weighting, and I think that there's enough height that's been designed into these irons where you'd be surprised at how well that they perform for many recreational players who are sort of at the advanced or the advanced intermediate types of levels. There is a little bit of offset that's designed into these irons, which again, for a player like me, is probably a really good thing. If you're somebody who really wants very little or almost no offset, then you're probably going to be more of a Blueprint S type of player. If you're somebody who's looking for a lot more distance enhancement, that you're looking for an iron that's going to give you speed that maybe you've lost over time or due to injury, then you're probably going to be more i530. But if control and feel is really going to be the name of the game for you, but you maybe just like a little bit more height, then i240 is really talking your language. This is a better player's cavity back iron, but with that elastomer piece here and with the back badge, you really get the benefit of reduced vibration and enhanced feel. Was I punished on mishits? Absolutely. Was I rewarded on good swings? Absolutely. And I really think that this is an iron that, again, with a 10 handicap, I could play this iron. There's enough perimeter weighting and enough forgiveness designed into this where this becomes a playable option for me. I think that, again, for me, it would be between this and i530, but this is much more playable than I thought it would be. Okay, so I think that's probably just about everything you need to know about the Ping i240 irons for 2025. But if you have some questions or if you have a comment you'd like to share with me, please feel free to drop it in the comment area below. I do try and monitor my comments and try and answer as many questions as I possibly can. If you have any questions about Ping irons or irons in general, I'm here to help you get all the answers you're looking for that are related to golf equipment. So please feel free to reach out. If you did get some good information out of this video, if you did find it pretty good and interesting, it'd be super helpful for me if you would like this video as well as subscribe to my channel. It helps me out tremendously. Thanks a lot, and I look forward to seeing you again really soon.